Okay, so we have 30 minutes to get a lot of information out. I'm going to start by just asking you each to introduce yourself very quickly. We'll start with you, Ben.
Ben McKean, I'm the founder and CEO of Hungry Root. We are a AI-driven online grocery service.
David.
Hi, David Goldweitz, co-founder and CEO of Glamsquad. We are an on-demand beauty service, hair, makeup, and nails in your home.
Hello, Alex Schmelkin, CEO and founder of Sixfold, a generative AI business for insurance underwriting.
Okay, so we're going to kick off with Hungry Root, and maybe just explain in simple terms how you use AI and what it's done for you.
Sure. So we pivoted the business in 2019. I started the company in 2015 as an online packaged food company, and we pivoted in 2019 to be a grocery and recipe delivery service. And AI has been at the foundation of what we do ever since. So our AI algorithm chooses 2/3 of what our customers buy for them. They sign up for the service by taking a about 5-minute quiz telling us about their objectives with their food, if they're trying to lose weight, save time, save money, how they eat throughout their week, if they have a sit-down breakfast in the morning or a snack on the go, what types of foods they like, what types of foods they don't like. All of this is fed into our algorithm that then creates a grocery basket for them. They have complete control to remove items, to add items to their cart. As they do so, those are great data signals for the algorithm to make their future deliveries better. But at the end of the day, the AI chooses 2/3 of what our customers buy for them, which saves them time, one less thing to worry about, helps them discover new foods, makes it easier to eat healthy, and then there's tremendous operational benefits from the model as well.
Does it adjust for people as they get older?
As they get older? That's an interesting question. We actually don't collect age as an explicit data point, so no, it does not.
Okay. I'm just getting older. David, yours is an on-demand platform which does not use AI, but does, well, I guess my question is, how do you use data for the improvement of your business?
Of course. Well, we are a people-focused business. We have thousands of independent beauty professionals out in the field, and trying to really create superlative experiences for our consumers is what we're about. But how do you do that and capture data? A big part of what we do is, post-appointment surveys. Think an Uber 5-star rating. Unfortunately, what we've found is that consumers understand the role of that rating in the livelihood of the person that is working with them. And as a result, 10 years ago, average ratings were about 3.8. Today, average ratings are above 4.9 across many different platforms, including Glamsquad. So trying to understand how customers really feel when they're a bit hesitant to do that is difficult. So we're finding some interesting uses for AI in terms of parsing the written feedback in non-structured data, where we find that consumers are more open to being honest because they don't think it's working into an algorithm in the same way. But really, even more importantly, we've managed to use AI to really streamline the operations of the business, cutting our SG&A by about 70% from where we were pre-pandemic, while maintaining pre-pandemic levels of revenue through AI in our customer service team, in our engineering team, and in our vetting of beauty professionals.
Fantastic. Alex, these are very popular business models. How do you get AI in insurance? Why did you do that?
Yeah, it's when you look at the insurance industry, it's a pretty substantial part of global GDP. Trillions of dollars a year in insurance premiums are still reviewed by humans. It's a staggering amount of economic activity that requires a person to look at an application for life insurance or for commercial insurance, and so much time is spent by that person trying to figure out, well, what is this application, and who's the business, and who's the person, and do they deserve this insurance, and how much should it cost? And as the large language models and GPT and everything that I'm sure we've all played with and talked so much about today started exploding onto the scenes, it became an obvious marriage to use AI to analyze and diagnose all these applications that are flooding the insurance industry every day, and to act like a human, to really semantically understand what's going on in this application, in order to help the insurance companies write the insurance more effectively and more quickly.
Fantastic. We're going to keep moving quickly. Ben, with your business, there are trends that happen in the food industry, and how do you sort of monitor and adjust for them, or do you just stay consistent?
Well, because data is at the core of what we do, we identify trends very early in our business. In the most interesting way is actually how it impacts our sourcing and culinary teams. So we are always thoughtfully expanding the assortment on our platform, and one of the best ways to do so is by looking at where are there gaps in our current offering based on what our customers are telling us. And then we go and try to identify products on the market that would fill those gaps. Oftentimes, there aren't products on the market to fill those gaps, and so as a result, we then actually go and innovate and create new products ourselves. We have 2 product lines where we've really done this very well. One is a line of clean ingredient sauces. We have about 25 different SKUs of clean ingredient sauces that represent about 7 or 8% of our overall revenue, and those are really directly driven by insights from the data and understanding trends and understanding, people are interested in a pesto that doesn't have cheese, look at the market and see that there's not great pestos without cheese, so we go and we create one. So that's really the biggest way that it fuels product innovation at 100.
Similar question, David. How do you follow trends, and do you develop products for your customers?
So we currently don't have our own product line. We have in the past. We have a licensed product line with a partner. But really, for us, trends are really trying to understand what consumers are asking for in the world of hairstyling and makeup. And again, very complex to capture that data from our beauty professionals out in the field. They're on the go. They're going back-to-back services. And again, they don't want to spend a lot of time in their phone explaining what they mean by this type of eye or this type of lip. So we're trying to work on some image recognition and also voice notes that we can transcribe into a data set that we can then pull out of, just ways that it's easier for our professionals to give feedback on what they're seeing out in the world in a way that we do the heavy lifting without them having to do TPS reports for every service.
Does every one of the stylists carry the same product line?
They don't.
They don't. So they have the option to do what they want.
Yes, we have preferred product partners, but they have some flexibility as well.
Okay, so how is the world responding? And I know you're very, very early in your business, but how is the world responding to AI in the insurance world?
Yeah, we're finding that if we can help the people who are making the decision whether or not to sell you the insurance, and if they could get to that decision faster and save them time, and ultimately make the person in that chair more productive and make more money and sell more insurance, they're completely embracing the product. There's, of course, the concern that if you make it that efficient, if you make it so effective, what role is this person playing in the process? But our initial engagement and response so far has been that our tool kind of becomes indispensable, almost like a calculator, almost like you wouldn't ask someone to do astrophysics or to try to put someone on the moon anymore unless they had really sophisticated models on a computer. And we think we're going to get to the point in the industry that you're just not going to want to be an underwriter sitting at your desk anymore looking through hundreds or thousands of pages of documents to figure out if you should issue something. You're going to want an assistant alongside. So the reaction's been very strong. And we've also heard, which is interesting, we measure ourselves in the very boring ways that insurance is. Are we selling more? Are we more accurate? But we hear that we're bringing joy back to the art of underwriting or deciding whether or not you should get a policy. And that's an important thing. Like if you are tied to your desk all day long and you're just reading through medical records to decide if you should get life insurance, making your life a little bit more pleasurable and easy, I think it's a big part of what we're going to try to do.
Joy back to the industry as though it was once.
Totally. Just imagine the pleasure that.
Okay, are you the enemy of the marginalized, uninsurable? Do you expose them more quickly, or are you actually creating better insurance coverage for marginalized?
I think we will create better coverage, and I don't know. We recently got asked, we were challenged with a very similar question. It's like, when you use a tool like ours, will the insurance companies write more insurance or less insurance? If you're able, we really quickly can tell you this is an exact fit to your appetite or it's not. So does that mean you're going to start writing more because you find more, or are you going to close up and start writing less risk? And I actually think, we don't know, over time we'll help you improve the pricing of your product, so you're going to be able to sell certainly a lot more. But it'll be interesting to see how the industry responds in the short term.
Okay, we shall watch this space.
Thank you.
Okay, Ben, how is AI helping you evolve your business?
Well, AI is at the core of our business. So I'd say that our core investment into the business is into our AI. And as we continue to expand our grocery assortment, the algorithm has to evolve with it. So to give you an example, today we have 600 unique grocery items on our platform. Trader Joe's is one of the smallest grocery assortments, has 4,000 SKUs. So we're marching towards 4,000 over the next several years. What 600 today does not include, or now very recently does include, are smoothies. Well, the algorithm has never been trained to sell our customers smoothies. And since the vast majority of what we sell is chosen by the algorithm, we can't just add smoothies to our platform and expect them to sell. So when we add these new product categories, we have to also retrain the algorithm to effectively sell them. We also have to change the user experience to collect the right explicit data points to understand who wants smoothies and what types of flavors do you want, and all of the important data points. So I'd say it's less that AI helps us to evolve our business, it's more that the business is built on AI. I would say one of the things that's changed in this year is now we're looking across the entire organizations at ways of using some of the generative AI tools, and the applications for that are really exciting, and so the business will evolve through those tools.
That's super cool. Okay, now my favorite question, David. Do big incidents, big events have an uplift for your business? Specifically, Taylor Swift, or my favorite part of this question is, does the film Barbie have an impact on your business? Everybody blonde and pink now.
They both did, and we keep a very detailed calendar of everything from social events to school holidays across all of our markets. And we noticed during a 2-week period, we were up 64% against expectation in Southern California, and we had no explanation for it. Nothing was happening. There were no award shows. If any, we were wondering, is it people are on strike and they can't get their regular hair and makeup? No, Taylor Swift was in town, and that was it. And we never would have even thought of that until the question was originally posed to me, and I went back and looked at it. Barbie, we did so many Barbie events. It was unbelievable. And, these moments, we find that in the world of social media, the ability to take these singular moments and bring, disparate groups together really drives our business and similar businesses as well.
Yeah. Love both your businesses. I'm still skeptical on you, and I want to know, Alex, what do you do about consumer consent?
Yeah, we have to look at some very sensitive things when we're evaluating your eligibility for insurance. Just take life insurance. Most insurance companies are going to look at your complete medical history, all the medicines you take, your hobbies that you tell them you do, the hobbies that maybe they find you also do from your social media profile. And we need your consent to look at all that data. Less so, the insurance companies are actually less interested in being certain that you've granted them the right to see everything. But the insurance companies need to prove at all times that they're not biased in their decisions. So if they can prove the contract that you've given me the right to look at all these things, like your medical history and the drugs you take, and then I've rendered this decision, it should seem fair. What's interesting, though, when you introduce AI at our scale, is we're able to start explaining now for the insurance companies why they're making the decisions. So it used to be kind of locked in people's heads. You'd get trained on a manual and you'd understand how to underwrite something. But now when you use AI, you can show, well, because this person has this condition, we specifically rated them this way. And I actually think that the conversation is going to change from bias to much more of this traceability and visibility into the data.
Fair enough. Okay, a question for all three of you. Just, you may have heard of Airbnb's 11-star customer experience movement, if you like. And I'm curious how and in what way you approach the improvement of customer experience, continuous improvement, and how you move from tracking to implementation. So do you have a customer experience survey?
Well, if our business that is built on AI, the customer is the center of the business. The customer is what we focus on every single day. The reason I started the company is because food is deeply personal and deeply emotional to people. You know, it impacts how we feel throughout our day. It impacts whether we have energy, whether we feel proud of sticking to a diet or regretful of the choices we've made. So food has really deep meaning to people, and so customers are at the center of everything we do. So we obsess on understanding the customer experience. We have lots of different metrics that we look at to optimize around it. At the end of the day, though, part of our whole philosophy is that food is deeply personal, and therefore the customer satisfaction is deeply personal. So to tie this back to AI, and one of our success metrics is how much are they trusting the algorithm to choose their foods for them. And what we found is that when the algorithm is working better, meaning it fills your cart and you remove just a couple items or no items at all, that's where we have the best customer retention. So one of our success metrics is really tied to our AI, and it's how much is our customer trusting our AI, how well is the AI working for our customer, and that's really indicative of how long they're going to stay with the service.
So what portion of customers' daily intake do you generally serve?
Well, for 82% of our customers, we are their primary grocer, meaning they're spending more at Hungroot than at any other way of getting food, whether that's grocery, takeout, delivery, and that's really important because—
But not against in-dining, not against restaurants?
No, against grocer. That's really important, though, because the more that we support their food throughout the week, the better the system is able to understand their preferences and their needs and get to know them, and the better it's able to work.
I'm very sure I would lie to the system, keep the chips hidden.
Well, people do lie to, people say that, no, I don't like sweets, so the algorithm doesn't give them cookie dough, and then they go and customize cookie dough, and that's fine. But then the algorithm can learn that, hey, maybe you don't want to, think you don't like sweets, but we're going to start giving you sweets.
Phenomenal. David?
Customer service is everything for what we do, and we are a technology platform that tries to remain invisible to the consumer. Nobody is using Glamsquad because of the technology. They are trying to find hairstylists and makeup artists, which has been an industry that's been around forever, but hugely inefficient and non-scalable. So for us, maintaining that high level of customer care is really important. Things like live phone support. We have customers who have never used our app and have spent $100,000 on the platform. We let them, we have people who text us and say, blow out tomorrow, and we will do that. We don't ask them who they are, where they're going. It's really about maintaining that level of personal, we want to be their private beauty service. Apps work really well, sites work really well, but we work, wherever they are. And same with our professionals. What we always say, and we hear from them, is nobody wants to work for an app. They want to work for people. So we maintain a structure of beauty professionals who they can always go to for tips and tricks and understanding how to be successful in this space outside of the traditional salon environment.
God, it opens up 1,000 questions. Companies that use another force to represent their brand, it's always difficult because you don't get to control that experience, right? And the other question I have as an entrepreneur is, how do you stop your stylist from then developing a one-to-one relationship?
It's all about providing value to the professional first and foremost, and to the client as well. If freelance worked, Glamsquad wouldn't exist. So the efficiency, we can give 6 or 8 services to a professional in a given neighborhood on a given day, which is nearly impossible as an independent freelancer. We want to create real value. And if we don't, then the client and the professional will contract outside of us. We'd be naive to say it never happens, but it happens less frequently than it would if we weren't so focused on the experience of both sides.
That is your measure of success, then.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And Alex, I know you're very early in your business going public, but how do you perceive it?
Oh, I like how Ben brought up the idea of your customers, your users having to trust the model. We run into this fascinating the scenario when our customers start their initial couple of weeks or couple of months using our software, and what happens when our model predicts back to them a decision that's different than they would have made. Because again, before our kind of software, it's all humans. There's no software out there that helps them to do this. So it's sensitive because they've told our software what their appetite is for risk. And then we predict back to them and we say, this is a good risk or this is a bad risk. And we've run into these situations where these deeply experienced, very trusted individuals are we're disagreeing with some of their findings. So how do we make them trust us more? And how do we actually build that into the model? We give them a very simple technique, just thumbs up and thumbs down against our predictions. And what we found over time is that even when the underwriter has disagreed, if we let them do it in the safety of their own screen, they'll thumbs up us. They'll say, okay, this is good, this is good. They don't feel like they're on the hot seat or they made a mistake, and ultimately they know that by them giving us this feedback, it's improving the model, their job's gonna get better. So we'll learn over time and they'll begin to trust the model that much more over time.
Amazing. So we've managed to squeeze this all in very cleverly. Can we take some questions from the audience? Oh, well, are you yawning? No, question? Get a microphone to that gentleman.
Hi, thank you. Alex, this question is for you. As I was listening to your use case, like how you're growing your business, it also strikes me that here's the question, do you have any tools or mechanisms to prevent something that may be nefarious rather than business building? So as you described, thumbs up, thumbs down, people are making decisions off your data. There's nothing saying that one of those decision points or what's factoring into the decision is something like race. And that jumped out at me very quickly that this, if I'm really nefarious, it could be a tool. It could be used almost to justify something like that. Or looking back at it, you find that, wow, in this zip code, there's an X% higher level of underinsurance. So.
It's a great question, and it goes back a bit to that concept that I brought up of bias in prior versions of AI, in insurance, in banking, and many of us have heard the stories of massive financial giants who have used AI to render decisions to disastrous consequences, where you saw that certain genders were under or overrepresented. Here's, I think, how we've been able to change the discussion. We actually met a couple times with the regulators in different states that are really at the edge of this. And they took a look at the way we describe our work. They actually said it's like a middle schooler showing their work in a math problem. And because our model actually spits back to you and it says, I rendered this decision not in a black box, but because I saw you had this medical condition, you take these drugs, but it's well managed, you no longer have this issue, you're this age, and all these other criteria, and here's how I'm rendering the decision. The regulators and the compliance teams are saying, so long as you can show the work, maybe that will actually make us more comfortable with the AI being that much closer to the decision.
Next question, yeah.
Thank you. Gosh, I've got a million questions I'd like to ask all of you, but two that are on my mind. One is, are you using any of these insights for differential pricing? So, for example, in the insurance industry, rather than it being a thumbs up, thumbs down, we'll insure you or we won't, we'll insure you at this cost. And in David's industry, I'm sure there are clients who there's a PETA factor that, they should pay 20% more because they're never gonna like their hairdo. I mean, how does pricing fit into your models?
Sure, I'm happy to kick off. From our market research, there is nothing that our consumers like less than not knowing what something is going to cost when they, so we have really steered away from demand-based pricing, from surge pricing, from anything in that world, not because we couldn't build all sorts of fancy models to do it, but to a person. It was, I just want to know what it's going to be, or discount me and I'll pay, and to drive demand. But charging more than the list price is incredibly unpopular in our space. We've even found in a lot of the salon world, they charge based on hair length, and we always said how long is long in hair. So we don't even mess with that, and we say it all sort of averages out in the wash, as we would say.
Alex, did you want to have a go?
In our case, what we're able to do is tell someone how close this insurance application matches their appetite, and then they can use that indeed to maybe alter a coverage. There's a funny thing about changing pricing specifically in the insurance industry, but you can offer someone something different. So what comes up often is we'll do an analysis and we'll see that your roof is so many years old. So we can only offer you this coverage at this price. But if you did an upgrade or if you patched it this way, your insurance would go down to this. So we can kind of proactively make some of those suggestions back, and the model is the one that's spitting that out.
Can we get hands up and get the microphone to people? Next one. Okay, before we do that, I just wanted to riff on your question and ask you, inflation, like food inflation this year was a big issue. Did you have to adjust your prices?
So we experienced less than 2% food inflation, despite the industry experiencing over 10%.
Yeah.
That's directly attributable to our algorithm. And the specific example on that is because we source different types of proteins, different types of products, we have raw proteins and we have cooked proteins. Cooked proteins cost more, and they also experience significantly more inflation than raw proteins. And so the algorithm took that factor into account and adjusted and gave customers more raw proteins. And as a result, we didn't have to raise prices because our inflation was very manageable. Now, we have raised prices in the past, and as part of that, we're, getting back to the question of pricing, our strategy at Hungered is 3 Ps: plans, pricing, and personalization. Pricing is a huge opportunity for us in how it's factored into the algorithm. So we're continuously testing pricing. We're continuously testing not just the price we charge the customer, but how much value do we put in each delivery. So we're continuously testing and optimizing there.
Okay, next question.
I think that was me. Hi. First of all, David, congratulations on Glamsquad. I think it's fantastic, particularly the omni-channel approach to being able to schedule and contact the company. I think it's fantastic, and I actually think it's a business model that makes a lot of sense for app-driven companies. I think you said, I might have walked in late, that due to AI being in the center of the organization, that you've saved 70% on SG&A costs. That's a big number. What are those items? Can you talk a little? Is it?
Well, I wish it was entirely attributable to AI. Really, we had a pandemic. Our business went to literally zero, less than zero. We had negative revenue in April 2020 because we processed 1 refund and had 0 revenue. So I think it was negative $62.58 or something like that, which is tough to run a business on. So we really just streamlined every aspect of the business, and that was where, using some of these AI tools, we were able to rescale our engineering team with fewer people, our customer service team with fewer people, and we were able to, most importantly, virtualize all of our onboarding, vetting, and training of our beauty professionals, whereas previously we had local offices in every market where we would meet people individually. When we founded the business in 2014, we always said, this can never be done virtually. It's too personal, you have to be there. And we found that using a number of different tools, we were able to do it, and do it in many ways more effectively by standardizing and centralizing the oversight, rather than having local teams that were all working on different standards and local standards, and really quite arbitrary standards, we found out in hindsight.
Thanks.
We have maybe one quick last question if the microphone's moved. Is anybody else? No? Okay, well, the principal's here, so we'll wrap up. And just a very gracious thank you to our three guests today.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Ben. Are you going to stay on? Yeah. All right, why don't you? I just want to say a quick thanks to Alex, Ben, and Dave. It's hard putting these events together, and when you have entrepreneurs like all three of them running large, complex, fast-paced businesses, it's fantastic how quickly and graciously they said yes.